Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 11 of the 2021 session of the Indiana General Assembly. Back with the whole crew this week. We have Matt Greller, our CEO, Lindsay Moss, Jenna Nepper, and Campbell Ritchie, our legislative team. Jumping right in, since we met last week, Matt, the president signed the American Rescue Plan Act that is going to ultimately bring about $2.6 billion to Hoosier City, or I'm sorry, Hoosier local governments. What's the latest there?
Yeah, you're right, Jennifer. The president signed it, so that kickstarts the process. Information we have so far, and keep in mind, we have to understand a lot more, and we'll be disseminating that as we go. But about 60 days after the president signs the bill, you should see or start to see distributions going out across the country. For those communities above 50,000, I think you all know at this point that your distribution formula is based on a modified CDBG community development block grant program formula. So you'll be receiving money via that method and a check directly from the federal government. For everybody else under 50,000, you'll get a distribution based solely on population. And you'll be getting that money via the state. Now, like we've said in the past, the state doesn't have any control over who gets what. It's a set formula. So you'll be receiving those checks from them. Lots and lots of questions about what can the money be spent on. Right now, there are 4 sort of broad categories where the money can be spent. That's income loss or revenue loss, revenue replacement. It's going to have to be very specific. You're going to have to show proof from prior year where the revenue was lost. Premium pay for essential workers, and then a sort of a catch-all category: assistance to small business, household, hard-hit industries, and economic recovery. The language here is pretty vague, so we'll have to get a lot more information and have the lawyers weigh in on that category. And then the 4th and final category: water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure improvements and investments. So a lot of opportunity, I think, out there. We've been stressing the need to work with your municipal advisor, who is likely an in-corporate partner. We've been consulting with them pretty regularly already. We'll have a lot of new information coming, hopefully, as soon as it becomes available, and we'll be pushing that out to the membership. So money's on the way, checks in the mail, so to speak. How you can use that, still a little bit up in the air, and we'll be back with you as soon as we know.
Great, thanks, Matt. Jenna, let's talk about a few announcements this week. Some news being made at the State House, timing, a major announcement from the governor. Why don't you update everyone on what went down?
Yeah, so this week, Senator Bray announced that sine die was going to be moved up. So the end of session was initially slated for April 29th, and they're now targeting and moving it up to April 21st. So a week earlier than initially slated. This means there's going to be changes in the deadlines as well. So for bills to get out of committee and pass on second and third reading. So it just moves everything up by a week, which is, big news. And then the other big news is Tuesday, Secretary of State Connie Lawson officially retired, and Governor Holcomb announced that State Representative Holly Sullivan from Southwest Indiana would fill in and carry out the rest of her term as Secretary of State. Representative Sullivan's been a great partner to local government. She served on House Ways and Means, was the former chair of Roads and Transportation. So she'll have to be replaced in a caucus. A big loss for us at the General Assembly, but she'll now be serving as Secretary of State.
Great, thanks, Jenna. Campbell, the budget always, obviously, for these long sessions is the main thing the legislature needs to accomplish, the state biennium budget. Where are we in terms of negotiations and passage of the budget?
So the House has passed its version of the budget, and this week presented it in the Senate Appropriations Committee, where they began first of all hearing the House's budget and everything they put in it, and then they started hearing budget presentations, starting with higher ed institutions first. So over the next 2 weeks, we're going to hear more and more budget presentations from state agencies and all the other stakeholders with interest in the budget, leading up to the Senate announcing their version of the budget in the Appropriations Committee, after which there'll be the final revenue forecast in April, and in Conference Committee, they will finalize the budget with the new revenue numbers. So that's basically where we are in the process. There are a number of things in the House version of the budget that AIM likes, the money for body cams, money for broadband, and the regional recovery money. That is the sort of regional cities 2.0 that the House has done. So we're going to keep watching and advocating for those sorts of items as the Senate opens up their hearings and starts working on their version.
Yeah, thanks. Lindsay, planning and zoning. It's something we've talked about a lot this session. I think the phrase that you might have used at one point is really, it seems that the legislature is really focused on local planning and zoning. It's somewhat under attack at the State House. What's the latest?
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. It's pretty common for us to see bills introduced every legislative session where, something happened locally, dealing with planning and zoning type matters that maybe didn't turn out the way that a legislator would have decided that matter, whereas, the local BZA or Plan Commission or whatever reached a different conclusion on particular issues. This year's definitely no exception to that. There are a couple of bills moving kind of in this space, but one in particular that got a hearing this week was House Bill 1337. There are two different things in this bill. One, that it prohibits counties or municipalities using an advisory plan commission that have a 2-mile fringe jurisdiction for planning and zoning purposes from prohibiting agricultural uses or timbering in the 2-mile fringe or within the county. That language, we were advocating against that, as were the counties. That language was removed from the bill in committee, so that's good news. But then the underlying bill also has a big change for counties that are exercising area plan jurisdiction, where the county and at least one participating municipality are part of this area plan commission. Right now, Board of Zoning Appeals decisions on special exceptions, special uses, and use variances are final. And from that point, an aggrieved party can challenge that decision through the judicial system. This would change that BZA decision to a recommendation that's made to the legislative body of either the county, if it's in the unincorporated area, or to the city or town council for the participating municipality to make the final decision on that special exception, special use, or variance. So this is a big change, but the committee chair actually stopped testimony after a planner had testified and decided to pull the bill, at least for now. So not sure what that bill's fate is, but we'll certainly keep having conversations about it and see what happens there.
Great. So watch your future legislative summaries for more on that issue. And for this week, please read the bill tracking list at the bottom of this legislative summary to understand a little bit more about what the team is doing at the State House and what bills are still in play. And we will see you back here next week. Thanks.